Alright, so today we're diving into a story you probably think you already know. Steve Jobs, yeah, the Apple guy. But this isn't about the black turtleneck or the keynote showmanship. This is about how he thought, how he led, and why that mindset changed more than just a company. Let's break it down. Steve Jobs had this relentless focus, like almost to a fault. People who worked with him described it as a reality distortion field. He'd walk into a room and suddenly what seemed impossible felt like a Tuesday. Now that sounds a little dramatic, but here's what that actually looked like. Back in the early 80s, the Macintosh team was behind schedule. The engineers said it couldn't be done in time. Jobs didn't accept that. He looked at Larry Kenyon, one of the software guys, and said, "If it can save someone's life, could you shave 10 seconds off the boot time?" Larry said maybe. "Okay," Jobs said, "multiply that by 5 million users. That's 50 million seconds every day. That's hundreds of lifetimes a year. You're saving lives." Now that's intense, but it worked. The boot time got faster. It wasn't about the seconds. It was about not settling. Jobs once said, "People don't know what they want until you show it to them." That kind of thinking led to the iPhone. It wasn't just a phone. It was a rethinking of what a phone could be. Now here's the thing. Even inside Apple, people thought he was wrong. They thought the idea of a touchscreen phone with no physical keyboard was ridiculous. But he kept pushing. Joni Ive, Apple's lead designer, said that working with Jobs felt like walking a tightrope. You had to be excellent or you got cut. But if you were, he'd back you all the way. And that's where the vision meets the leadership. Jobs didn't just hire talented people, he pushed them to think differently. Not in a poster on the wall way. In a, this might actually change the world kind of way. Now here's the part most people skip. Jobs was fired from Apple, from the company he started. And that could have been the end of the story. But instead, it's probably the reason Apple became what it is today. After Apple, he started Next. It didn't take off commercially, but it changed how software was built. That operating system eventually became the foundation of Mac OS. And while he was gone, he also bought Pixar. That's right, Toy Story, Finding Nemo, that's Steve Jobs too. He learned how to run creative teams, how to bet on storytelling, and how to lead without micromanaging every pixel. When Apple bought Next and Jobs came back, he didn't just bring code, he brought a new perspective. And within a few years, Apple went from months away from bankruptcy to becoming the most valuable company in the world. Here's what made Jobs different. He wasn't always nice. He could be abrasive. But he cared deeply about the product. Not just how it looked, but how it felt. He once said, "Design is not just what it looks like and feels like. Design is how it works." That thinking forced Apple to prioritize user experience over specs. Not just what's on the sheet, but what it's like to use the thing. He also believed in saying no. He said, "Innovation is saying no to 1,000 things." Think about that. Most companies try to do everything. Jobs focused on a few things and made them great. That's why, when he returned to Apple, he cut the product line from dozens to just 4. One desktop, one laptop, consumer, and pro. So yeah, Steve Jobs wasn't perfect. He wasn't always easy to work with. But the way he led, with intensity, clarity, and a commitment to making something great, left a mark. He didn't just build Apple, he shifted the way we think about tech, about design, about the future. Not because he was chasing hype, but because he believed the future should be built by people who care enough not to settle. And that's something worth thinking about.